My name is Dan Dorval, and I'm President and CEO of Dorval and Cherney Financial Advisors. I am an independent certified financial planner and author of my book, Financial Success for the Rest of Us, Reality Based Financial Planning for Mainstream America.
Hi, my name is Leah Woodley. I'm an associate financial advisor with Dorval and Cherney Financial Advisors. Our conversations discuss what it means to do quality of life planning in all areas of your life. Dan, it's that time again. We are honoring our October Quality of Life Nurse Award recipient.
So, this month, we are very excited to recognize Casey Pacheco Moran, and she is the executive director of Nurses in Charge. She was nominated by the founder of Nurses in Charge, and we are going to bring her on in just a second and have her talk about her award.
All right, let's bring her on.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for all that you're doing. This is wonderful.
Yeah, we're very excited that you are October's winner of our Quality of Life Nurse Award.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Why don't you just tell us a little bit about some of your background and some of the things you're doing to improve quality of life for, your peers, the community, the type of work you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So, my background, I've been a nurse for about 13 years, and I have worked at the bedside. I did some post-op, and then I actually launched into, I was working as in leadership. So, I was an administrator, and then I went to be a clinical manager, and then I'm finally 100% the executive director of Nurses in Charge. What Nurses in Charge is, it's a global organization. We are here to connect, to celebrate, and empower nurses around the globe because nurses are not celebrated enough. So I really resonate with what you're doing. What we're doing is that we're collaborating. We're bringing people who really want to see nurses thrive and the profession really survive. We're bringing them together so that we can be a force for a voice for nurses and really advocate with them so that more people could become nurses and want to join us in this profession.
Oh, I love that story. You're absolutely right that nurses aren't celebrated enough, which is exactly why we created this award and, acknowledge all of the contributions that nurses are making. So, how did you make that transition from, bedside to nurses in charge? Like, was that a hard transition for you?
So I started off, I met the founder of Nurses in Charge because I decided that when I left the bedside, I became a holistic nurse and I wanted to help nurses so that they don't burn out. And then I realized that there are a lot of other nurses out here trying to help nurses not burn out, but that's a business model. So we were burning out trying to do a business with the marketing and letting them know who we are. And I just thought if we come together and we co-market and we co-promote each other, then we won't have to burn out while we're trying to help other nurses not burn out in the process. And so that's where I've met the founder, Dr. Niampu. She founded Nurses in Charge, and she said, "This is much bigger than burnout." Her vision was to connect nurses all around the world, to raise their education so that when we get help from nurses in different countries, they are well prepared and not like a fish out of water. And it really resonated with me. So I came on full steam. I became the brand ambassador, and then she made me the executive director. And then we just took off to 19 countries.
Wow.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. Well, you hear nurses mention burnout all the time. I mean, certainly since COVID, the world of nursing has become very, very challenging, and you hear that a lot. Can you talk a little bit about how you try to help nurses understand how challenging it is to be a nurse and how to not burn out?
Absolutely. So, being a holistic nurse, I went into so many different remedies and therapies about breathing. I do frequency medicine. So my focus with burnout prevention is emotional well-being, physical and spiritual well-being, that mind, body, soul. But I added a different piece because I added financial well-being because I really wanted to know why nurses were burning out. And when I got to the root of the matter, a lot of it had to do with lack of financial literacy. So I took my license. I'm actually going to do another license to, become licensed in securities and investments. But I really, because nurses don't know too much about financial literacy, despite all the breathing techniques I show them and all the stretches and movements and yoga, I mean, I've done it all, Reiki, all of it. If they don't know how to manage the money, they still got to work those double, triple shifts. I talked to one nurse, she worked like 8 shifts in a row, credit card bills through the roof. Like it's a real thing. So I added that part of financial well-being into my holistic practice.
Well, that resonates with us because that's exactly what we do. And we actually have an incredibly unique agreement with the Minnesota Nurses Association where we're paid through them to be available to provide that financial planning and advice background to these nurses. And you're right, we see nurses coming in working extra shifts and trying to get as much income as they can because they're just not really sure how to manage the income that they have. So they're making good money, but they're burning themselves out in the process of trying to make as much as possible. So those financial resources, that's exactly the reason why we do what we do for about 20,000 nurses in the Minnesota area.
That's amazing. Never been to Minnesota, but that's wonderful that they're doing that for the nurses there. That's excellent.
Yeah, it's something that you just don't see anywhere else. I mean, even when we try to build awareness of what we do for nurses, it's just not something that health systems do in general. It's, a lot of these people are just they're kind of put on their own to be able to figure some of these things out, and the world's become a very complicated place, so it's not always that easy to do.
Yes, and most people don't really like talking about money, and sometimes it's a bit embarrassing because as nurses, how do you say I don't when you go through orientation, they give you a bunch of forms to fill out, but who do you ask? How, do you go to the bank? Do you go to HR? Who helps you understand this? I know from my experience, I didn't even know where to go to find information. So
Yeah,
this is
you just nailed exactly what we talk about all the time because nurses describe they have orientation. All the orientation is about how to be a nurse
yes.
and how to work within that health system. And, they get a very brief period of time, if anything at all, about their benefits. And so they walk away going, I have no idea what I have. And, our agreements address that because my first agreement was actually with a health system and they paid me to be available to help their nurses. And they said, these nurses have no idea what we provide for them. Very expensive benefits.
Yes, yes.
And they said they have no idea. And so they want somebody who can not only describe it, but also give them advice on what they need to be doing, like actual action items. And so it was an incredibly unique type of relationship, and we've built upon that since then.
I should have been in Minnesota.
Well,
That is
I've
absolutely wonderful.
I resonate with your like helping people from all over the world because I've helped people from, 6 different continents. And, to see nurses coming here from the Philippines and from Africa and from, South America, and you see these different values and perspectives and all of those traditions, cultures, all of that. It's so important that financial planning puts that into context as well from a quality of life perspective.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of times I just worked on a deal with a company from India where they will be providing training for just people, part of nurses in charge, the members around the world. And a lot of it is sometimes nurses don't have the confidence to use their voice to ask. So even sometimes the information and the resources are available, but they have never been trained, or certain countries, it's actually kind of disrespectful to ask questions. So we're actually looking into training at the end of the year for nurses around the world where they could have this confidence. So that might be, that's just something that we're just spreading out for international nurses.
Well, I think that's fantastic. And, I can see the passion and the joy and, everything, the energy you're putting into what you're doing. So, congratulations again on being our October winner. We will be sending you a $500 check to acknowledge
Oh,
your winning the award.
thank you so much. This is so unexpected. I appreciate it. This is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, the founder of Nurses in Charge actually nominated you, so you can let her know that you have won that award. And just one last question I want to ask you. Is there any advice that you would give to other nurses who want to make an impact?
Yes, I would. So, my advice I would say is definitely to collaborate. So, within the nursing industry, sadly, but we have gained this reputation of nurses eat their young. However, where we are going as a human species, a population, collaboration is the name of the game. So, if you want to go farther, longer, definitely, if you want to make an impact, definitely collaborate with like-minded ones.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. We are honored to be able to award you with the October Quality of Life Nurse Award.
Thank you so much. This is so unexpected. Thank you so much. I am so grateful. So grateful.
You are welcome.
Thank you for all that you do
You are more than
for our
welcome.
nurses. It's wonderful.